Welcome to Wheel Chatter. I'm Ian,
And I'm Jesse.
and today we're going to be reviewing a clip from the popular TV show The Office. It's the one about disability awareness. Um, I don't know if all of you can see or not, but both Jesse and I are wheelchair users, and we're used to a lot of weird things people say to us. You know, when you're in a wheelchair, you attract a lot of unwanted attention sometimes,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of misconceptions. And Michael is about to put that on full display for us, probably. So we're going to react to this and give our opinions on it. All right. Before we start, are you a fan of The Office, Jesse?
Yes, I like The Office a lot.
Yeah.
Watched it before and after I became disabled, so
Okay. See, I never really watched it before I became disabled because I don't think it was even around then because I became disabled in 2005, and I think The Office came out in did it come out in 2007, 2006, something like that. I think it came out before I was disabled, so I never got to see it before I was disabled. But and I
yeah.
probably would have been too young for it anyway. I was like 10 years old. But I like The Office. I didn't watch it religiously, but like I definitely have seen enough of it that I can say it's funny and I enjoy the humor. But let's get to it. Let's see how they portray things here.
Sure.
What did you say, Jess?
Who is that lady in the first picture?
Let me. Oh, that's a good question. I'm not entirely sure. That would be something. Let's see if he says her name or not. I know, although obviously growing into a man overnight isn't necessarily a disability. I think both you and I can say though, when you become disabled at a young age, it does kind of like make you grow into an adult overnight. Like the growing into an adult overnight isn't necessarily the disability, but like you could argue it's a result of disability. I don't know.
In some ways, but in some ways you're still like you haven't grown up at all yet. Like when I didn't go away to college, and I feel like I missed a lot that other people got.
Yeah, yeah. Yours happened when you were like 16, right?
Yeah,
So like you were at the cusp of like transitioning from kind of like being a kid to almost being an adult. Where I was still like I was almost 11, so like I was still like much more of like a little kid. But like I think like it's I don't know if you felt this way, but I sort of felt this way like when it happened to me. I kind of felt like Batman. Like like you had that day where it's like all of a sudden like there's just this tragedy and like all of a sudden you just like Batman's just like I haven't been a kid since I was 8 years old, right? Like I just like I vibe with that so hard. It's just kind of like your innocence is just gone, just like instantly, it's just gone. And so yeah, I think it's kind of funny that he uses the example of Big about a kid basically becoming an adult, and he thinks that's the disability. It's like that's I don't know if that really counts as a disability. I will say that I don't think a lot of people really fully understand like the monumental challenge of just like having to face like such adult themes when like you're really young, like when you have like tragic things like that happen. It really does like completely change the way you view everything. Like it really changes your mindset a lot, and it becomes difficult to like relate to people. Do you know what I'm talking about?
yeah. Like you're not like you're not like everyone else in your class anymore. You're different than them.
Yeah, yeah.
Like you can't
Like
like
you're not,
relate to your classmates.
yeah, yeah. Like you look different, but also like the way you see things is different too. Because like if you're a kid and like you grow up and you've never like become paralyzed or like you've never had like some kind of like life threatening illness or something like there's still like a like an optimism, I think, and like a like they're much less, I think they're much less cynical. Like that was the big thing I noticed like when I returned to school was like I just noticed I was like so much more cynical than like most of my classmates, and like it it's almost like, hey, do you remember like when you were a little kid and like you found out that like Santa Claus wasn't real, but like you had other kids that were like a little younger that still
Might
didn't do
be
bars.
kids watching this, and
Just yeah. Hey, we're past that season. We're past it. We can pop that bubble now. But but do you know what I'm talking about? How like they still have like that cheerfulness and like that naivete. You know what I mean? And then you're just kind of like you've kind of like grown up past it, but you're close enough in age where like that grown upness is like it's like awkward now. You know what I'm talking about?
yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. It's rambling a bit there, but get there real quick because it's like, all right, both you and I know exactly like how difficult it can be to like get places on time when the handicap spots are taken. Like, especially I don't know how to explain it, but like, have you ever had it happen? Well, your van always had the ramp that comes down from the back, right?
But we just got the new van that's started.
Okay. Because I've always had the van that has the ramp that comes down from the side, and I can't tell you how many times where like I park somewhere where I'm looking for a parking spot, and what happens is like the spot next to it where the ramp is supposed to come down, like that striped line, people will park in that because they think it's a parking spot, but it's actually the room for like a van's ramp to come down. And like when people park there, like even if there's like handicap parking spots available, when people park there, you still can't get out of your vehicle, and like it makes it super frustrating to like find a place to like get out. Or sometimes if like you park there and like it was normal when you went in, but then somebody parks in that striped spot when you come back because they thought it was a parking space, like you're literally locked out of your car. Like you can't get in because like you can't let the ramp down. Like that's one of the difficult things about like finding a job as a disabled person is like obviously nobody likes to make excuses for why they're late, but like there really are a lot of things that like can make us late that like have nothing to do with us really like our condition. It can have to do with like literally just people doing things like that they're not really supposed to do, and then like we suffer the consequence. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like how the whole world like reacts to our disability that makes it us late because they make it difficult to live with a disability.
Yeah.
Even when you are like doing everything you can.
Yeah, like you can be doing everything you're supposed to do. Like you went through the whole process of getting a van with a ramp so you could get out in the world, but someone parks in that space and the rest of them are taken. It's like, well, there's nothing you can do about that. Like you could do your part, but it's like if other people aren't cognizant of accessibility, like it makes everything inaccessible. Like things can be inaccessible just because of the way other people like behave, basically.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard for you because you're in a wheelchair, but it's like a lot, like you said, not everything that's hard for us is because of the wheelchair. Sometimes it's just because of the way like other people do things or because of the way they design things. Like they just don't account for us. Like that's what makes it hard. Like if you account for the wheelchair.
If everyone like followed the rules like they're supposed to, everything would be fine.
Yeah, it would be way better. Like you go to a place where like they're not following like the ADA, where it's like they the doors are not wide enough, and there's no ramp, and it's like it's that kind of stuff that makes being in a wheelchair difficult. Like if all that stuff is in place and people don't park in the ramp spots and all that kind of stuff, like being in a wheelchair is not really like that much of a hindrance. But it becomes a hindrance when people are kind of inconsiderate.
Yeah.
I feel bad that I have to keep pausing, but like it's just like, oh man, there's so much to unpack there. Like, all right, I think I told you this story before, but like after I first got injured, like I was probably like, I don't know, it was probably like a year or so like after I was first injured, and I had a friend spending the night at my house, and like the next morning, like after we ate breakfast or whatever, I like brushed my teeth, and like he could see me brushing my teeth, and like I spat in like a plastic cup or whatever, and like he's like you do that better than I could do that, and I'm just thinking to myself like, are we gonna do this right now? Like, bro, are you trolling me? Like, what? Like, what are you doing? But like, it's so true. Like, when you're in a wheelchair, like, people will literally like, they will literally act like every little thing you do is like, just like this massive deal. And it's like, I understand they're trying to be nice, but sometimes it can be like just absolutely patronizing. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, like they think like they're acting like you're like they're trying to hype you up.
Yeah, they're trying to give you some riz.
Little thing.
Like sometimes it can be a totally backhanded compliment too. Like have you ever had somebody like come up to you and like they'll tell you like I was having such a bad day or whatever, but then I saw how hard your life is and I felt better about myself. And you're doing such a good job, and you're just like, thanks, I guess. Like sometimes like people try to give you compliments, but they're actually kind of like insults in disguise. But they're legitimately trying to be nice. Like they're trying to be nice, but they don't realize like that sometimes it's kind of like yeah, that's not exactly like a winner there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. What's one of the most patronizing things you've ever had?
Gosh, there's so many. I need to a while to keep playing the video and I'll keep thinking of some.
All right, yeah, I know you have to sort through your top 10, find one or two. But yeah, I'll keep playing it. It's supposed to be like representation for people with like what they would call like non-visible disabilities.
Yeah.
Because he may not be physically disabled, but boy, like socially, he's something not right with that boy.
Yeah, but that like a whole different thing. Like that's why the word disability is like such a vague word, because there's some disabilities. Like me and you are physically disabled, like use wheelchairs, but anytime you go to like a disability group, it's usually people with like mental disabilities.
And like when you say disabled, like a lot of times people lump that in with like mentally disabled. And going back to like the patronizing thing, I think that's why the patronizing thing exists, because I think people assume that like disabled just means like disabled. Like they don't really distinguish between like physical, mental, emotional. Like they just like, and some people, I think their only exposure to disability might be mental disability. Like maybe they have a cousin who's mentally retarded, or maybe they have a brother who's like severely autistic, or something along those lines, and that's their only exposure to disability. So like when they hear the word disability, they just assume that like it means that you're also mentally or emotionally disabled. But like, as you know, like both you and I, right, like being physically disabled does not necessarily equal mental disability. You know, like they don't necessarily go together. Like, are there people who are physically mentally disabled? Like, sure. But there are people who are physically disabled and not mentally disabled, and there are people who are mentally disabled and not physically disabled. You know? So, you know, to me, it's just kind of like, yeah, it is kind of a broad term, but I don't know. I mean, what do you suppose could replace it?
That tough, because I wish there was like a word that just, could replace it, so people wouldn't be confused. But I don't know what that word would be.
Yeah. What do you think about just always making sure that the prefix is always put in front, like physically disabled or mentally disabled? Like, what do you think about just making it more specific each time? Or do you think that's just too much work and people aren't going to do that?
I think people aren't gonna do that, but they should.
Yeah. Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, see, that to me it's a tricky one, because it's like, I know some people that are really triggered by the word handicap, like they really hate the word handicap, but like rather it's the word handicap, disabled, like to me it's all the same. Like to me there's not much of a difference, really there's no difference. I know some people will say there's like a difference, like I've heard some people say disability is more like a description of like, it's more like a description of your condition, I suppose, where like handicap is more like a description of your limitation. So like for instance, like a spinal cord injury might be your disability, but like your inability to walk would be your handicap. You know what I mean? So like some people would say like handicap and disability, like they're not necessarily the same thing, but they're used interchangeably. You know?
Yeah.
So I don't know. To me, I'm not offended by either one, but I do wish there was I do wish there was a term that was not so broad, you know. Because like autism, like disability in general is a spectrum. Right? Like there's a spectrum of disability, right? Like it could be anything from like, you know, you sprained your toe all the way up to, you know, like you're blind and a quadriplegic from your neck down. You know, like it could range from, you know, mental disability to, you know, like something as simple as like maybe, you know, just not being able to read well, all the way up to like, you know, completely like almost vegetative or something, you know. And so there's such a range. I think I feel like if you were to add spectrum to it, like disability spectrum or something, I don't know, people might not understand that.
Yeah. Oh, I thought of an example for your question earlier.
Yeah.
A couple summers ago, my mom's always looking for things for me to do that are disability related, and like you said, like because it's such a wide word, like wide range.
Mm-hmm.
I always get like lumped in with people that have like Down syndrome and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so there was this camp my mom sent to me, this disability camp, and like it was a like 5-night camp.
Mm-hmm.
But so like we went there, but it was all the way in Grand Rapids. So my parents drove me there, and they went there like to check in with me, and we were like, everyone was being so friendly while I was checking in.
Mm-hmm.
And after my
When you say they were being friendly, you mean like too friendly? Like, how are you, buddy? How are you doing? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Like patting you on the head and crap?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then after we checked in, I was getting a weird vibe, and my parents had already left. And so we were like 2.5 hours from home, so there wasn't really much we could do. And then I figured out like why everyone was talking to me like that, because
they thought you had Down syndrome like everyone else.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, like as a physically disabled person, like I don't look down on people who are like more or less physically disabled or more or less mentally disabled. Like I don't look down on them at all. I just don't want to be lumped in with a group that like I'm not actually part of.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like it has nothing to do with like looking down on them or anything. It's just more like it just, you know, it's you want to be you know, identified like with where you belong, you know. I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with that, and you know, it's just like I don't think most people really understand like what that's really like to be kind of like constantly miscategorized, you know.
Yeah.
It just makes you feel kind of like not understood. But yeah, so let's watch the rest of this here.
I'm going to my foot into a non-stick. Come on, Michael. Yeah. Let me stop you right there. Okay. And leave.
Yeah, also, he was about to do something that I'm sure you've had done to you before, which is where somebody like is trying to relate to you, but like they're trying to be inspiring and they're trying to relate to you, but like, you know, their experience, their personal experience with disability is like so radically different than what you've experienced that it just kind of falls flat. Like he was about to say like, oh, I hurt my foot, but like he self-injured his foot. Like, it's totally different than probably whatever, like, guy in the wheelchair experienced. Like, he said it happened to him when he was, like, 4 years old, so, like, he likely had nothing to do with it. So, I mean, like a self-inflicted injury that's, like, mild and temporary is very different than, like, something you had no control over that's severe and happened to you when you were a child. Like, I suppose, like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But, yeah. Yeah, Jess, what did you think about, like, this episode of The Office, or, like, this clip? How do you think it kind of demonstrated, like, a lot of these misconceptions and stuff?
Well, like you said, I think Michael is trying a little bit too hard to relate. He might relate in some ways, but in that way he doesn't really relate.
Mm.
So, like, they find a different way to relate. Like, they might like the same kind of music or something, but their disabilities are not similar.
Yeah, and, like, they don't have to be, right? Like, to me, like, if somebody comes up to me and they're not physically disabled, like I don't consider my physical disability like the sum of my identity. Like, there's plenty of other things, like, I'm interested in besides just the fact that I use a wheelchair. Like, I do sports. I write books with you, right? Like, we have our book Kevin Can. Actually, it's a perfect segue, right, to talk about our book Kevin Can, right? Like, you and I literally created a children's book to educate people about physical disability because we were running into so many people, and kids in particular, that were just, like, saying a lot of these kind of things and asking a lot of invasive questions. And we kind of figured out, hey, people aren't really learning about physical disability, so why don't we create a book to teach them? And, like, as you know, like, that's why we created Kevin Can. You know what I mean? So hopefully that people don't end up like Michael.
Yeah.
Parents, if you're watching this, buy your kids Kevin Can so they don't end up like Michael in this clip.
Yeah. Kevin can and Michael won't.
Yeah. Let's give people Kevin Can and Michael won't. Yeah, let's give the people show how they can find Kevin Can. Yeah, folks, if you're wondering, Kevin Can, it's a wonderful book, and it's actually been on the news a few times. Our real goal is to, like, get it into public schools and stuff. Yeah, so parents, if you're watching, this is Kevin Can. This is what it looks like, and I'll just read a brief synopsis of it. Kevin Can is the story of Kevin. He is a normal 10-year-old boy who uses a wheelchair to get around. In this story, follow along with Kevin and his best friend Katie as they have tons of fun discovering many of the things that Kevin can do. Kevin can do everything you can do, but with his chair, he just does them a little differently. Kevin teaches us it's okay to do things differently. Sometimes different is fun. Yeah. So, Michael, like, if we go back to that clip, he's like, I noticed the wheelchair. He's like, that's what you all noticed when he came in here, right? And it's just kind of like Kevin Can teaches kids that, like, there's more things to do with people in wheelchairs than just notice their wheelchair, So, yeah. Anything else you want to add to this conversation, Jess? Or anything you want me to go back on the clip? Anything that stood out to you?
I don't think so.
Okay. So, on a scale of 1 to 10, how many ableist misconceptions did Michael say?
Oh, I think he mentioned like 3 or 4 of them.
Okay, yeah. I'm trying to think if there were any that he missed.
Yeah.
Like, he did the "You're so brave." He did the weird, awkward kind of like trying to relate thing.
Yeah.
He did, let's see, what else did he do? He did the patronizing thing. Yeah, that's one of them. Let's see. I think, I don't know if I would totally consider it like an ableism trope, but like misidentifying things that aren't disabilities as disabilities, like he did with the, like with Big.
That, yeah.
Because there are some people that I think that one's less of an ableism thing and just more like they just need more education. They need to buy Kevin Can.
Yeah.
This video has been brought to you by Kevin Can. But I feel like this is one thing I was wondering watching the video. I was wondering the whole time if like a lot of these tropes that he said and that he brought up, I was wondering if like who presented all these, right? Like if they actually talked to some people who like are wheelchair users or like, yeah, this is like the kind of crap we hear on a daily basis, or if like maybe he like if like I would like to know like what their process was of like finding these tropes, because some of them are like pretty common and like you said, like both of us have experienced like them on like a fairly regular basis. Yeah, you know. But yeah, I'll have to research this episode to find out like what their process was for like discovering all the things that you shouldn't say to a disabled person.
Yeah.
Maybe that was what they did. Maybe there was an article out there somewhere like the list of all things you shouldn't say to someone in a wheelchair, and they just read it and they're just like, have Michael say all of them.
Yeah, we should write another book like things Katie shouldn't say to Kevin.
We should write a book. It's like reverse psychology.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's like here's what not to say.
Mm-hmm.
But then people end up saying it. So you guys say like, definitely say this, and then they won't say it.
Yeah.
It's like definitely say this. It's like no, yeah, no, not reverse psychology, but yeah, that would be kind of an interesting book. I feel like we would enjoy making it, but maybe some people would feel like they're being scolded when they're reading it. I don't know if they would enjoy it. I feel it's like one of those projects we'll make in our free time that's like it's just for us.
Yeah.
For us.
Yeah.
It's
yeah. We like an unpublished book.
Yeah, or just do it anonymously.
Yeah.
Like, hey, able people, stop saying this crap. Like, just do it, but just like put it under like an anonymous like name. That'd be funny.
Yeah.
Because when people like find you there, I'm gonna park in your spot. You know, they'll like be mad about it. But no. Anyway, I think that about wraps things up. Unless there's anything else you want to say.
I think that we pretty much summed it up.
Alright. Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in to Wheel Chatter. If you found this video informative or hilarious or anything else, like and subscribe and share it with your friends. And if you're physically disabled and you've run into someone like Michael, like drop it in the comments below and like let us know your story. And until next time, this has been Wheel Chatter. Bye.